So one of the projects that I've always wanted to do on this car is hide these ugly reservoir tanks. One's for the coolant, one's for the windshield washer fluid. This is the first step. I will be replacing the one on the driver's side, which is the windshield washer fluid container. It sits right about here, and it takes up a lot of room in the engine bay. I don't think they look that good. I just kind of have this little screwdriver holding this in place so you have an idea. I've had this outside the car for some time now, but it'd be nice to have some type of mechanism to squirt the fluid up on the windshield for when it gets dirty. It is Florida, it does rain, so it's nice to have some windshield washer fluid. This container is what I'm replacing with. You'll notice that this is a lot bigger, but it's designed to fit in this little galleyway right here. Okay, so when you take off the front nose, which I will be doing here shortly, this will slide right in here in this little galleyway, and I'll put little holes here. I'll mount it all up, and these mounting points are here to seal it up. That is the plan. All right, so we need to take off this center bar here. That way we can get this squared up underneath. See if I need to cut anything. Right now I can't get it in there, so we'll go ahead and do that right now. Okay, I know what I'm gonna do now. I thought that this would just mount to the bar right there and I'd be good to go. It's a little different than that. So what I need to do is, I'll show you what I'm doing. So I removed this big plastic piece right here. Okay. What this plastic piece does is it kind of keeps from the big debris from hitting my AC condenser. And this right here helps push air up into there as well to go through my radiator and everything. So I removed this thing. That's gonna be full ball air going straight into here. And I also removed these little plastic funnel things that go in here. They were just plastic pins that hold these in, so I didn't really want to show you how to remove those. They were kind of tedious. On these two, they're just two that go in here and two on this side. And then they have these little flaps. See right here? These two go in here. And then you have these little flaps you got to kind of push up to get it out. Otherwise, this thing is made to slip right in and then not be removed. It's not that easy to get out. I may put these back in as soon as I get this all figured out. So the plan is I'm gonna make tabs. I'm gonna riv nut these into this bar here. And then I'll make tabs that go down, and I'll bolt those to there, both of them. I'll have 4 points of contact with this. I'll do this one, up there, and up there. That should be stable enough. I don't expect that to waver on me if I get thick enough gauge tabs that I'm mounting them to. Well, I'm thinking this kind of will have this little brace right here kind of pressed up against it too, so I don't have to worry about it flying in or bending. Anyway, we'll figure that out as it comes. But so there's a few things I need to do with this. Is this thing's got to have power. The current power for it is right here. It will not reach all the way over there, so I do need to extend these wires. That'll be a part of this project. And I'll get that ran across this front right here. And then the second thing we'll have to do is obviously the tabs mounted up. Oh, and also the tube that runs to the actual the washer nozzles. We'll get those ran all up here. yeah, so fun. We will get started on it. All right, so I had some time to think about what I'm gonna do to get this thing mounted up here. At first I was thinking of putting it a lot lower, make tabs, drop it down. But what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna have studs that go mount to the unit, and I can bolt in and bolt straight into there. So that's the plan. I got everything to do it, so I will show you what I'm working with, and then drill the holes, put the rib nuts in, and cut the studs down. Okay, so this is the plan. I am going to use some rib nuts. I'm going to put it in the cross member up in the front. I'm going to put these bolts through it. They're going to screw into these. And for strength, I'm going to cut this thing down and have this be wedged between the unit, the washer tank, and the cross member. If it kind of sags and doesn't look right, what I do plan on doing is welding a tab, welding this to a tab, having it do an L bracket, and then mounting it in the top so this thing can't like shift left, up or down. We'll see how it goes, and then I do have a welder, so I can weld this to a piece of flat stock and mount it to the cross member. So that's the plan. So I'm going to cut these threaded pieces off because they don't look good, but this thing sits flush at the end of this, so it looks really good. So the plan is cut these off, cut these to length, and then mount it up. So let's go ahead and cut the ends of these off. Okay, now that I have measured the distance between the two areas, I need to go ahead and drill out 2 holes. That way the rib nut can actually go in there. So you got to drill it out the size of this unit right here. So I will be doing that right now. First thing to do is make sure that you're not going to be hitting anything behind here. There's some wiring behind here, so just got to be very careful what's behind it. Make sure you don't hit it. Okay, now that you have the hole drilled, your goal is to go ahead and thread this on here. Like so. You will stick it in the hole and not apply too much pressure, but the squeezing motion will clamp this. You want to kind of keep it straight. And then you unscrew it. Now you have an inserted, that thing doesn't spin at all. Yeah, these things are actually pretty smooth. Again, you don't want to overdo it. You can break these tips. So you just kind of give enough pressure until it clamps and then release it. And then you are good. I'll do the other side off camera and then start mounting this thing up. Okay, now that I have both the nuts in there, you can kind of see how this kind of sits on here. I'll kind of screw these in. Really, I want this thing to sit like this. So obviously this is a little off, so I just need a spacer about that long. So as soon as I get this like this will sit up in there and be pretty straight. And it's just not affected by this at all. Okay. Now that I know what the spacer that I need to space this out, I'm gonna go ahead and measure this, cut 2 of these, and then set them in here, and then I'm gonna have to chop this one down. there's a backing bar back here that is not allowing this to go any further in. So 1.25 inches is what I need. Made these little spacers here. I'm gonna go ahead and put them here, tighten it down, see how it looks, and then we will move on to the other one. Last thing we have to do is just trim this one down. After we trim this one down, I can put the spacer on there, and then I just have to run the wiring to this and the hose, and then we're done. All right, now that I have the 2 spacers in, this thing's actually pretty solid and pretty well on there. So the next thing we have to do is just run the power to the actual unit itself. It only goes not nearly far enough. So I think that's a headlight. It goes to here. So we have about 2 feet we need to add to it. I'll run it through here, extend this, and I'll walk you through that process. All right, so my plan is to make it as easy as possible on me as I can. So I'm gonna cut this wire right about here. Gives me plenty of room here, gives me plenty of room on the other side, so I can extend these. I do have blue and red wire, so I'll kind of match them with this. It's not the exact red and exact blue. Who knows? They may have been the same before the sun faded them out. But I'll go ahead and cut these. All right. These are about the same gauge as well. So the plan is I'm going to take these and these little solder connectors. They heat shrink and they have solder in them. Got them off Amazon, they're pretty cool. One thing good about switching from a 3rd gen to a 4th gen windshield washer fluid container is the connector is the same. So I don't have to worry about the connector not working on that pump. They seem to be the same pump from 3rd to 4th gen. So that makes it pretty nice. I don't have to do anything crazy with that. So the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna strip these ends. And because I have plenty of wire, I'm gonna cut more than I need, just so I don't have to worry about it. Okay, that thing's on there. You always want to give these things a tug afterwards, because if it slides right out, that means you didn't crimp it hard enough. So you know it's not going to last long if you were able to pull it out with your hands. So if you're pulling on it right now and it stays in there, that means you got a good bond. I'll have a better bond when I heat these things up. Really nice. Okay, now it's time to heat this up. And I'll have a little heat gun for that. And that's how you do connectors. All right, let's go take this to the car and do the other end and trim it down. All right, this goes in here. And I'll run the wires through here. I'm going to cut this much off of it. What makes it nice is having the same color wires so you don't get them accidentally mixed up. I know it's easy to see what you have and then hook it all up, but you get confused later on, or when you're trying to figure stuff out, later on, like a wiring issue, or trying to troubleshoot something, and you don't have the right size wire or the right color wire, it becomes confusing. I learned from my mistake when I hooking up the FI Tech unit. So I'm gonna do the same thing I did on the bench over here. You guys don't need to watch that, you guys have already seen it. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that, and I'll show you the end result. All right, the last thing that needs to be done is put this loom on this wire. This is some stuff I got off of Amazon. It's split out in the middle, and you slide the wire in there. It actually makes it dress up really nice and kind of hides the wire. I think it looks a lot more professional if you do it this way, and it's not as recognizable as the red and blue wire. I need to order some more of this stuff before I can put this on there. All right, now that I have the front piece done and I got the wiring all done, I need to extend the hose that goes to the pump. So what I have here is not long enough. So what I did was I went to AutoZone and I purchased some more that was apparently made in Thailand. And the hose diameter is 4 millimeters or 5/32. So if you ever have to get new hose, you can, based off that. I didn't really find anything on the internet, and they don't have it there listed, but as you can see, it's the same diameter. So here we go. I'm just kind of winging this. I don't really know how to replace it. It goes into the firewall right here. I noticed that when I was pushing on it, this thing started moving. So I just went and saw that these are actually connected. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to disconnect this from this little T. Hopefully. Without breaking the T. And then I'm going to connect the two hoses together. I'm going to fish it through, and hopefully it doesn't get caught up when I go back through. That is the plan. Hopefully they'll stay connected to each other and not separate as I'm pulling it through, because this is kind of a tight fit. I can feel the resistance. I think it'd be a real big pain to try to do it otherwise. I'm sure underneath the dash you can see this line and all that stuff, but path of least resistance, that's the route I'm going. All right, so what I went ahead and did was I just took a screw, I believe it's a 2-inch screw. I went ahead and cut the top off with using a grinder, and this should screw in here pretty nicely. And kind of hold in there pretty nicely. That's the plan. I'm thinking the harder route to go is down and out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull this up like so. I'm thinking it'll come through a lot easier. So since this just slides off, it's not really gripping too well, I have some electrical tape. I'm going to tape these together, and hopefully it doesn't add too much width on this to where it won't impact it by going through. Oh yeah. So that is how you fish this line through this little hole right here. That worked out really well, as you can see. Okay, push that in there. We'll see if I have enough hose to replace anything else out there. It's funny because you can see like paint on this as well. Anyway. Okay, next step is I need to run this hose to the front so I can hook up to the pump. There's a cable that opens our actual hood latch. I'm really just following this because it kind of drops down right next to it. It goes along the fender, goes above the headlight, and then it comes straight out this little hole over here, and then I'm just going to run it that way. Again, if you're doing this, whatever works best for you is how you should run it. But if you want to hide all your wires, make it look like you can't see the stuff, it's going to take time to run it the way you want it. And this hose gets caught on everything. Okay, last piece, just connecting it to the end here. I'm about to cut the end off and make it snug. Don't want to do that yet until I have this kind of attached to the cable. Oh yeah, something you don't want to do is zip tie it to this cable, because if you zip tie it too tight, it'll impact how this cable operates. So what we can do is use a Velcro strap around it if you wanted to, but I have plenty of things right around here that I can attach to other than this cable. Okay, so like I said, this thing just twists out. I could have bought a new one of these. They're 15 bucks. I have another one on my other container, so if it doesn't work, we can just replace it. But now it's time to kind of cut this thing down. So I ordered about 10 feet of this stuff, and I got it right where I needed it. Okay, now what I'm gonna do is I am gonna go ahead and put some of this aluminum on the wires to make it look all pretty. All right, let's go ahead and take a closer look. This thing does not bow down. Right here, both mounts, we got the plug in here. We have the hose hooked up underneath. Comes straight through here. I'll go ahead and tie those up here soon. Wires go that way, and the hose is going through here like so. They go through the fender straight into the grommet right there. All right, I noticed something I don't like on this actual mount right here. See how it kind of moves forward? I'm thinking about connecting a bar that goes over this little cross member right here that connects into here, and then bolt it in there. So that's what I'm gonna do right now. That way it doesn't move forward. These mounts are fine up here. They don't go anywhere. That needs to be tightened. But other than that, I think that'll hold it in there really nicely. All right. So I made this little bar. I had some leftover scrap metal, and I put some rib nuts in it, and I measured it and all that good stuff. I put a bend in here because there is a part that sticks out behind it. I'm hoping this will fit around that bend and secure it down. All right, that came out perfect. Now the fun part, I'm gonna have to take it all apart, paint these parts so they don't rust. I'll do that off camera, and I'll show you the end result later on. But anyway, that concludes this video. If you like this mod, or if you have questions about this mod, and you have any questions about it, please let me know. I'm happy to answer anything that I've done on my build, and I will share the rib nut tool that I actually purchased off Amazon in the chat. Anyway, you guys have a good one, and until next time.